What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Love and Marriage Unfiltered. So, you got your girl, Shabaka. I'm with my husband.
Oh, Jay.
Hey, y'all. So,
what's up?
Listen, we want to welcome y'all back. We're so happy that you tuned in to another episode. Listen, we started episode 1. We told you our journey, like our from college years and all the way through, because we want to let you know us. We told you we're pulling back the curtains. So today we're gonna dive in. This is part 2. We're gonna dive in to more so of our marriage journey. So we're 9 years in. Sometimes we have to ask each other, what year?
8 or 9.
We're in 9. We're in 9. Like working on 10.
9 years.
And so today we're going to just dive in a bit to share our marriage journey, like some of the pitfalls that we had, just really coming back together, and things that we did in hindsight. We could have done that a little bit different, or maybe a lot different. So let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm. So I guess let's start off with year 1. Year 1, it was a lot going on, right? So we're happily married, super excited, but there were some things that we wasn't quite ready for. But first, let me kind of give you guys the dynamic of what the marriage looked like for us. Every marriage is going to be different, right? So you're going to have some external things with the marriage. You're going to bring some, if you will, you're going to have your own. Everyone is going to have their own baggage, or just situations that they bring to the table, right? So I don't want to say,
situations.
Situations, right? I don't want to make it seem like it's a negative thing.
Everybody don't bring your baggage across this threshold.
But our first year, we was in love. We are in love.
Thank you for fixing that. Right? He said
we are in love, right?
We say it unfiltered, so I don't know what he might say.
But we jumped into the marriage and we just really just hit the floor running. I think that's the best way to describe it. I mean, we got married and we just we had all these goals and ambitions of how we wanted the marriage to look like. Mm-hmm. And I think once we said I do, we just started sprinting.
Yeah.
So what that looks like is that once we got married, y'all, we jumped right into ministry. We jumped, we was a blended family, even though we've been knowing each other for, since elementary. We're a blended family. We'll get more into that.
Yeah, well, I guess we could. So in part 1, I told y'all how we went away and we came back together. And so in between that, I told y'all that I ended up going through a marriage pretty quickly. And then, so I had a son from that marriage. So now, fast forward, just kind of as a replay. Now we're together. Now we have, this blended family. I think Will was like
2, 3.
Yeah, like 2.5, like a little before 3, and then we got married. I guess when he was closer, going on 4. Okay, so now back to
So blended family. So I have I'm in a marriage. At that time, didn't have kids of my own.
So a new dad,
right? So I'm wearing a new hat, right? So I'm a father. We moved together. Not only that
you came right in with you came in with a child.
Yes.
You came in now as a husband, and then the dynamic was, so my mom has just always been around. Like when I started having kids, and my mom was around, and so she moved in, and so we were together. So it's mother-in-law. We got a new son. Well, new to you.
Yes.
Okay. So now that's how we started.
Real quick, I want to speak to the fellas. Just real quick, right? So, men, you have to understand that when you make that transition, right? And I think I learned this from you when we were dating, is that you may have come from that season in your life where you're dating multiple, women, if you will, or it could be vice versa. You're single, right? You're single, and I'm saying this for a reason. Just stay with me, guys. So you may be used to just being single and you just seeing your options, but when you make that transition from being single to now you being exclusive to one person, I think a lot of times couples, specifically men, don't give themselves enough grace or time to create that muscle, create that habit of just being exclusive. And I think that when you go from the dating scene to now being exclusive to now really talking about being in a marriage or being married, is that you have to. There's a switch that needs to go off, and for the fella, especially specifically in my situation, at that time I wasn't even dating. I wasn't even really on the dating scene like that. But even with that, going from a bachelor single man to now I jump into this marriage, and from day one I got these multiple hats that I'm putting on, and that transition can be quite challenging at times. So I just want to speak to the fellas that you have to give yourself some grace, give yourself some time to embrace. Right, you're gonna fail, you're gonna make mistakes, but sometimes we can be our greatest critics, right? And even especially for your significant other, your wife, that she needs to be able to recognize those things and give you grace as well. Because when you jump into it and you blended family, and now I have a son that I have to raise, and it's just a lot of shifts that needs to happen. So in a marriage you have to be flexible. You got to be willing to be flexible, right? You got to be willing to adjust accordingly. That's the best way I can think about it. You got to be willing to adjust as a man. You got to be willing to adjust, especially when you jump into a relationship where you're walking into major responsibilities. So that's where we at. So we started off with a blended family. I'm a dad. We also end up going to the same church. I think for a little bit we was going to two separate churches. We got married. We decided to. So I'll let her tell you why she's laughing.
Okay.
But we decided that hey, we have to worship under the same house. So we end up going to the same
I
church.
was trying to rescue you. I had to come in.
Okay, go ahead.
I had to
Tell
come
tell
and
the
save you.
tell the people why you're laughing.
Well, I'm not gonna go like all the way in right to the scenario because I still want to protect the integrity of the ministry.
Right.
You know that you were a part of.
Right.
And I'm not even gonna mention the ministry that I was a part of. Well, I just knew that just was not
How you
them.
know? How you know?
Listen,
How you know?
one,
did you know?
the Lord definitely spoke to me and about that.
Okay.
Like, so the Holy Spirit, but even just like my own, logic, like when I went into the environment, I'm like, this is not like what God has for you.
Wow.
I just knew that it wasn't. And so,
This
but
is before we got married.
Yes, this before we got married. And then y'all listen, it wasn't what God had for him, but it also was not what God had for me. So because I'm the type that, where my husband goes, that I would go.
I'm with that. Yep.
I was so thankful that, the Lord
rescued you.
That's what you want to use. Delivered you some. But and so, we were able to then just find a common ground because it was important to me that I didn't just pull him, from where he was and now demanding that he, comes with me. And I think even before I came in the picture, you were starting to have the feeling of, am I supposed to be here? Because sometimes you can start a thing and then think like this is a forever thing. And we can miss the markers when God is taking us to, we say faith to faith, glory to glory, and he'll take us to a new level.
Yes.
And we underestimate and think like I'm supposed to stay here forever, and we can miss the voice of God, thinking that
so true.
I'm supposed to stay loyal to this thing or to this ministry. I'm not saying that we should be hopping around like we need a home.
They need to be grounded.
Yes, but thanks be to God. Thanks be to God. He put
us
in a place, where we were able to connect and worship together. Like we had a friend who recommended. It was a newer church, and so then fast forward. I mean, we jumped like we dived deep.
Yeah, we went right in. I mean, once we joined the church, shortly after that, we jumped right into leadership. So we was able to be blessed and jump into leadership in the ministry in church. And that within itself, I mean, once we, how you and I, how we do our thing.
We flow.
We flow with it.
We flow. We might get on each other's nerves at home.
Yeah, but we give
if you
100,
put us
110%.
in like anything business, anything ministry, it doesn't matter. Like if we have a task or assignment, it's gonna be done, and it's gonna be done like excellence. Yes. Then when we finish, I mean, because y'all don't know, because this is marriage. He could have got on my nerves right before we got on here, but I won't tell. No, I probably get on his nerves too, but you know, it does, and so you have to still be able to work through it and flow through it, and so I think that we worked really, really well when we were in ministry. But I feel like that was part of the problem. We worked so well together in ministry that we were missing it, that we were actually like having marital problems in year one, and we had no clue.
So that it was covered up. So us being so focused on the ministry and you know, our heart posture was in the right place, but how can I say this? When your heart posture is in the right place, but the act of what you're doing is incorrect. So our heart posture is that we want to really be faithful to the church, and you know, we're
into the role, the
turning on the lights, we're turning off the lights. That's how it was. First to be there, last to leave. And
mind you, we are still working. So we were like full-time ministry in a sense. This is a new church. It wasn't like every single day of the week we had something going on, but many days we had something going on. And so, but we were still working, and I had to travel out of town, like maybe for sure, like a 5 or 6 days or something like that out of the month. So I'd be gone. He was doing like working over. Were you working overnight yet? Like shift work yet? No,
I believe so. I think so.
It may be part of the journey.
We'll talk about that, because in the midst of that, I end up switching careers. Right, so I ended up switching jobs. So I mean, this first year was a juggernaut. It was a lot going on.
I would touch down, and then you're like, "Hey, we got a meeting with the pastors." I'm like, "I haven't even seen like
right off the
my
plane,
child. I haven't
airport,
seen you like." And so that kind of began to take a toll, like on us, but we really didn't know. And so I think, you know, because this is Love and Marriage Unfiltered, but I think some of it, you know, we're mindful and careful of what we share, because we never want to, you know, speak negatively about.
No, of course not.
You know, a man of God or a ministry, because we did have some, you know, I would say this: through year one, we didn't prioritize each other. We put, you know, the ministry first. We didn't put God first, because we wouldn't have had all these issues after it. But we put the ministry first. Then it was like trying to figure out how to be married.
There's a difference, by the way. Yes. There's a difference when you seeking the Lord, and you seeking His purpose and His will within that season of your life. But also there comes a time where if you're not in tune with the purpose of the Lord, sometimes you can, once again, your heart posture can be right, but you can be chasing the ministry versus chasing the Lord. And I think that's where we end up.
Yeah. So I'm gonna share. Can I share a little bit? I won't like.
Yeah. So we're talking about ministry.
Yeah, and
first year of marriage,
because this is a big part of our first year of marriage. And so during this first year, I started to have the Holy Spirit started to speak to me about, you know, us transitioning out, you know, of that church. And so, you know, we were in leadership roles.
Was it the first year or the second
year? It was like within, because it was like kind of coming out of.
I thought it was the second year.
Well, because, you know, I got pregnant with Yanisa. So yeah, it was close. It was close too, because I hadn't had her yet. So it wasn't like right at the top of the first year. But yeah, it was. It was probably like that following November. So it was like we were coming to like the end of a year. And, you know, the Lord started speaking to me, because we were coming up at the end, about to go into year 2, I think. And so the Lord was speaking to me about like nudging me about, you know, maybe transitioning or moving on. And, you know, we would talk about it, but it felt foreign. And I thought, you're like, Lord, is this me or is this you? So fast forward all of that, both of us were starting to have like, you know, some wonder, some concern. And let me tell you what the Lord did.
Come on.
The Lord pulled the whole rug.
Yes.
He pulled the whole rug. We didn't listen to him, and we didn't leave, because he told me, And then we were kind of still, trying to figure it out, maybe a little bit afraid of leaving, like not wanting to abandon what we were doing. And Lord, is this really you? Because we were learning how to hear the voice of God
at that time.
Yeah. And so he pulled the whole rug and we were dismissed from the church. And, that was probably one of the most hurtful things that I would say that we've ever experienced, because we were like, we sacrificed our marriage. We sacrificed a lot. We didn't realize we were sacrificing our marriage because we just worked really well together, and we were just kind of rocking and rolling and just jamming, And so the Lord was like, if you're not going to leave, then I'm going to have you leave. And so later the Lord told me that he did it. He allowed that situation to happen. And it was, probably, I would say, one of the more hurtful things that we had experienced. And listen, this is not to say to push people away from doing ministry and things like that. Like, we do what God has called us to do. We're fast forward, we are healed, from that, but that was a journey. But when we came out of that, that is when it was like, that was the Band-Aid that got ripped off of our marriage. And we were looking at each other like, hey, who are you? And I'm like, who are you? We're trying to figure out how to function. Now we have a baby.
It's a lot.
So now we got two.
So we got two, right? We're flowing. We end up getting dismissed from church. Just so happened that specific day that we got dismissed, we wasn't at church. So we got word because once again, we was totally involved, and our mom.
And we took a break,
mom
just
was
that
at
day.
church. Mm-hmm. She got
I said, what phone call that we left?
Yeah, so our mom texted us and told us that the pastor had went before the church and dismissed us, and we didn't know. They didn't give us a call or conversation.
No call, no reason.
But not to go deep into that situation. So here we are. We got dismissed.
We didn't know that could happen. By the way,
right?
We were like, well,
so now
aren't there guidelines to, like, was it an excommunication? I don't know. Okay,
we felt that. So right. So we got all these different mixed feelings. Feeling abandoned, feeling betrayed.
Maybe just not understanding,
just reflecting to see if there's anything that we did on our part to even cause this, right? So I don't want to 100% just blame it on the church or the pastors, but also too, we took some time where we just had to kind of have conversations and look within to see did we move in such a way that prompted the pastors to dismiss us.
And what did we come up with? Okay,
we couldn't find a reason, right? So we couldn't. Not to say we're perfect, right? Because we all fall short.
But I think the key thing is the people spoke. You know what I'm saying? Like, in that situation, we received phone calls. People were confused. They were hurt. They like, y'all are like, we did everything, like lights on, lights off, orientation,
hospital visits.
Anything you can think of, like, we completely just. Well, I was facing those little Rottweilers in the street. Was that a Rottweiler? But anyway, I digress. I think that the important thing that we had to know, and the Lord didn't. Well, I couldn't hear him until many years later, where he said that he was the one who allowed that to happen because we were supposed to leave and we were delaying our exit, and so that's a whole topic in itself, because sometimes you can delay something that you're supposed to do. And now, in a sense, we're forcing God's hand because, like, it's a timing. We had to be somewhere by a certain point in our life. So had we just stuck and stayed there where the Lord is like, hey, this season is up, I believe we were supposed to do what we did. But when it was time to go, we weren't yet spiritually mature enough to feel comfortable about leaving. And so now, that really affected our marriage because now we had, church hurt. Then, now it's starting to cause some conflicts in our marriage because now we got more time together. Like, usually take like a honeymoon period, give some time. We just like jump right in. We didn't take time to like know each other.
We didn't take time to nurture each other.
We thought we already knew each other.
Correct.
That was part of our problem, y'all, because we said we don't have to go through what we went through in college. We acted like we thought, we went through all those marital things like in college. but we didn't expect to go through it again.
In that first year, we definitely put the ministry before our marriage, and in that first year, with us being a blended family, we should have slowed down. Not to say that we shouldn't have done ministry, but we should have been able to realize that and really just
and set some boundaries.
There you go, right? So I don't think we had any boundaries.
Like
I think we just
it was like when they needed something,
whatever they needed,
whether it was
whatever
personal,
church
whether it
needed,
was for church, it didn't matter.
We actually put the family second, right? Or the family will be. So what we did was hindsight 2020 is that we put the family last. So whatever was left because left in pertaining to our time,
almost like the scraps, the fumes, and then
because it's the ministry, and then we had to make time to actually work, and we was putting, we was going hard in our career. So by the end of the day, by the end of the week, we running off fumes, and then that's what we gave each other, right? So really not just going through those formalities of what a healthy marriage looks like, right? Spending time in prayer together, debriefing at the end of the day, no matter if that looks like you guys sitting up, talking about how your day went, how work went, talking about the things you guys involved, just debriefing, whatever that looks like. So you guys got to figure out what that system, what that looks like. It can be debriefing over dinner with the family. So I don't think we gave out each other that opportunity to do that. We just
we just like, what needs to be done? All right, let's go
and make it happen. So once we got dismissed from the church, we ended up realizing that there were some holes in the marriage that we had
some gap. It was a big gap.
We had to fill. So this is when some of the issues started happening, right? So now we have more time with each other, and not realizing like, okay, man, we have not been nurturing the marriage, and this is we're
because now because year one we
thought
probably
it went good. On year two now.
Because year one we thought it went good. Now we're in year two. We have a new baby, and so now we got 2 kids. Yep. So
in addition to that, on top of dealing with ministry, we decided to start a business. Right, so we decided to start a business because we had these goals. One good thing that I would say we did in our first year that I would suggest
we have more good things, but definitely we can pull one up.
New couple or marriage, I would suggest is that sit down. This is what we did, right? So we sat down and we did a vision board. Some people don't really vibe with vision boards, but for us, I think it really gave us a path forward in terms of what we should be focused on. Some things we kind of fell short, but some things we did focus on. And for us, it was well.
If you go back and you look at it,
I think we're walking. We're walking over the past years. We've been walking it out.
We didn't realize we were walking out because we forgot. The note to self: don't put the vision board away and forget about it.
Vision board is a great tool to use so you and your partner can get on the same page because it's very important for us. It helped it. I mean, we're kind of we flow in the same spirit. So when it came to raising the kids,
so it was
we can talk about it. We're giving the 3 pillars that.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So for us, it was ministry.
So it was remember it was F. So faith.
Yeah.
It was faith, finances, fitness, and family. So not in that order. But it was like our family, our fitness, our faith,
it was
and our finances. Mm-hmm. It was like
faith, family, and fitness.
I don't think it was like on purpose that we picked like everything was a faith, family, fitness.
Well, not also finance, yeah.
Yeah, I said finance.
Yeah. So that's what we talked about. We actually created a whole vision board, cut out some pictures, and make sure we had that visual, that we've seen. So it helped us out a lot. So here we are, year 2. Trying to fill these gaps.
Listen, year 2, I would say 2 through about 4 were like test and trials.
So year 2 consists of us trying to find a new church home. Year 2 consisted of us trying to maintain a business. Year 2 consisted of us career change. year 2 consisted of just reprioritizing things that.
How you feel we did?
Like, you want us to grade? You want me to grade?
Year 2. Okay, great.
So year 2, I would say, in terms of like the grading scale, like what if I look at what it looks like to me, what a healthy marriage looks like, right? That'd be something that a reference point for me. If I'm looking at our marriage and I'm looking at a healthy marriage, I would say we was probably like maybe a C plus. C plus. C plus, B minus, right? So we was rolling. It wasn't like we was waking up getting on each other's nerves, but we started to see the discrepancies. Yeah, really. I would say, what you thought about year 2?
He said C plus. I thought he was gonna go lower. Year 2, I feel like we were failing.
But this year 2 though, like
year two, yeah. Yes. Like if you say C plus, I'm going like I'm like D plus, D minus.
I don't know if it was that soon. I'm thinking maybe third quarter of year 2 going into year 3. Then yeah, that's when things started to turn a corner a bit.
Okay.
But yeah,
all right. Okay.
First 2, jumping into the second year, we was fine. We was still kind of doing our thing.
Okay, I'll give you that. But part of the way through year 2, we started going under the sea.
Yeah. Year 3. We wasn't liking each other very much.
So we told y'all unfiltered.
We wasn't liking each other.
Unfiltered love and marriage, unfiltered.
I think.
You just said a good. Okay.
I was about to say. I think year 3 is when the D word came about. Listen. I brought it up. I think I'm the one that ended up. Yeah. So it was just
I don't know. It could have been you.
Or it could have been you.
No, it was you.
It could have been you.
It was me.
But year 3. Year 3
was not
is the year when, and this is one of those things where I think we had, shortly after that, I think we ended up making a commitment not to bring up that.
We made a commitment, and then this one right here.
Yeah, I think I made.
He was still like. Yeah, so, I say, what happened to? That's not an option. That's not an option, and so. But one true question that we really had is, do we want this? Like, do we want the marriage? And that's where, because he was saying it, I was thinking it, I just hadn't, verbalized it. I'm like, this is supposed to be like, my childhood friend, my college sweetheart, like, my best friend. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, Lord, did I hear you wrong? I thought I heard you right now, Lord. And, but he was feeling the same way because, we were trying to figure out how do we make that transition and do we want this? And so I think that we found a counselor. We didn't stick with the counselor because
But the good thing about it, we got counsel. We got some godly counsel.
We did. And so women, ladies, like we're more so willing to like jump out there and go. My husband, what I would say is I am blessed and fortunate because he's always like open. Sometimes like, to get the ball rolling on like, let's go. But he's never said, no, I'm not doing that. And, counseling, that's what we, he never said anything like off the wall. He would always be like, okay, we can go. And so I think the key that helped us is even though the word had been thrown around, and I do not recommend that you throw this word around because words create worlds. And so then you start looking up saying like, why am I having all these issues, in my marriage or relationships or whatever it is, right? When we decided that we wanted it, we said, okay, you know what? I don't like you right now. I love you. I don't like you. You don't like me. Right. It was like, but we came to this conclusion that we still wanted it. And since we wanted it, we said, take the D word off the table.
Yes.
Let's take it off the table. And we're just going to have to get scrappy with it. We're from Oakland.
I'm telling the people exactly where we go down. But yeah, so.
Okay, Albert, you want me to?
Yeah, so you're good. So we both, we started to fight. We started to, once we finished counseling and we got some godly counseling, there's some things that the man of God kind of coached me on, some things that I was expecting from my wife. here's some of the things that one of the things that I learned was the fact that people change, and sometimes without us being aware of it, you can keep a person in this box, and they have no clue that you still expect them or see them in a way that you knew them years prior to.
Yeah.
A person can change from year to year, let alone you allow years to pass, and it's unfair to your significant other. It's unfair to you to still expect or still assume for them to act a certain way, feel a certain way about a specific topic. And I think that's why it's so important for you guys to continue to communicate, create a system where, as a person is changing, as a person is growing, as a person is getting closer to the Lord, some things are going to change. And here's the key for us. I think we both, it's never going to be equal, right? So I don't think for us, I think at one point maybe you probably was going harder on your ministry walk than I was at one season, and I had to, it was kind of like it's just that up and down, right?
Well, it's like
even when I
maybe not
fitness,
even up and down, like maybe ebbs and flows.
Ebbs and flow, yeah.
Because I think that each person's journey,
It's
just
different.
looks different, and I think more so embracing it was what we had to learn how to do. But I would say between those years, 2 and 4, the thing that just came to my mind that I feel like we did not do a good job at, that was probably causing a lot of our issue, was that we weren't seeking to understand, to hear the other person.
Yeah.
We both just wanted to be understood. And so it was like this constant thing. You like, well, this bothers me when you do da 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 da. Well, I'm like, well, this bothers me when you do da. So then we end up like never really getting anywhere, because we both are like, I want you to hear me. Right. So like you can fix what I need you to fix. If you fix it, then okay, then I'll fix it. So the thing that bothers you, I'll fix it when you do this. Like we kept feeling like it was the other person's responsibility versus trying to seek to please each other. Because I would say, like, when I'm, hey, this is, I mean, kids I guess could watch this, but this more like adult, right, topic. So I would say when we start talking about like intimacy, because that's a real thing. Because like, intimacy like that is
a whole nother topic.
It is.
That's for a whole nother show. That
I mean, but that was something that like impacted our marriage, because we did some form of marriage counseling. So it's like, okay, they ask you certain questions like, how many times a week do you think, and how many times a week, like, you try to get on the same page. And then we threw all of that stuff in. It was like, we don't have time for that. Like, men don't make time for that. Women, I'm like, I'm tired. Like, I'm still working. My job was super demanding.
Here's the thing. Though. For men, this is where it can be an issue, because I think, this is just my honest opinion.
I hope you give me
so, but this is from my experience as well, that the external things that we was dealing with was affecting your intimacy with me. For fellas, let me be real. For men, we can bypass all that and still have a urge and a desire to still be intimate with our significant other, with our wife. Doesn't mean that we love her more than what she loves us. It's just the fact that women, because sometimes you guys are external. Yeah, because dealing with kids and anything that throws, right? Anything that throws you guys off in terms of just dealing with family, if it's career, emotionally, if you just
feeling hurt,
if you guys are out of sync, it's definitely going to affect your desire to be intimate. With fellas, all that can be crumbling down, and you still late at night, when it's time to lay it down, you still trying to,
I do think that that's true, but I feel like you had seasons to where you like, I'm good too. I feel like
we go through it too.
But I think that between those years, when we got, let me tell you, 2 through 4, I don't know. Somebody told me, what did they used to tell you? 1 and 2. Wait, 1 is good.
I think year 5.
By year, no, I used to hear by year 3 you should be. So when we hit year 3 and it got more rough, I said, now listen, because we felt like the Lord was like howling any and everything that we were gonna. And I used to tell my husband, like, I really feel like, the Lord is something He wants us to do, by a certain point in time. So he's allowing us to go through all of these things. It felt very compiled.
Yes, it is.
And it was like year 4 is when I kind of started to have this in revelation, this, you know, I would say, yes, a revelation from the Lord. Like, yeah, so like now we know God has called us to marriages. And so let me tell you, 9 years in, going on 10, I feel like we have the wisdom and the knowledge to be going on 20. Like, that's how much stuff like that we dealt with, to where now I feel very qualified to talk about just about any area, like of marriage, of life, of motherhood, you know, relationship and business. And because we ran businesses together, like I said, the Lord has done this thing so we can help other people. So listen, y'all are welcome. We went through this for you because the Lord knew He was going to send us out.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I think also too, it's been a blessing to see you grow in the different seasons. When you're talking about ministry, you talk about career, when you talk about just different hats that you've had to wear and still hold down the house, and still be able to cook, and still be able to attend as a wife and as a mother. So just to, I think I've been able to see how intentional and faithful you've been in terms of you just being not only just a wife, not only just a mom, but just being great at what you do in your profession, being great in our business. So it's been a blessing. Once you're able to kind of go through the storm, go through those 2 to 3 years, and for some marriages it's different. Sometimes it's probably only 2 years, right? It's only 3 years, but typically it takes time, right? You're right. It just takes time to grow into the marriage. That's the best way I can put it. When you grow into the marriage, right, and you kind of understand, right? When you seek understanding, and this is one suggestion I would say that I had to learn. One of my biggest things I had to learn is to be an avid, how can I say this? An active learner. I'm sorry, an active listener, right? Sorry about that. So a lot of times you will communicate with me or talk with me, and sometimes I'm still trying to like hear you out. Because men, we hear you. It's just like, we listening. So I think that was part of the reason early in our marriage, when you were communicating, you're trying to express, or you are expressing how you feel. A lot of times my mind is already on the solution. I'm trying to get straight to the solution.
Yeah, I'm like,
and for a woman, what I've come to realize is that you want to make sure you've been heard. Yes, I want a solution, but I want to make
sure. Sometimes I want a solution. Right. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah. So there again,
like sometimes I already have my solution. I just want to vent. Like, and then our thing too.
I had to learn how to like. So is this a time for you seeking a solution, or is this a time where I just need to hear you out?
So I gotta,
I'm just trying to learn.
I don't need a solution. I need to.
So you have to
start doing that now. Yeah. No, I don't know if I did it like that, but I think I'm gonna do it because you solutions driven. Like that's just you. Like there's a problem, you're already thinking of the solution.
What's the solution? Let's get it over.
I'm thinking of a solution, but way I communicate, I want to like get out like either my feelings or my frustrations or whatever. So, but I think too. So and thanks, babe. You said about me, my growth, my season.
Yeah, for sure.
That was sweet.
For sure. Yeah.
I didn't pay him either. He really feels like that.
Pay me later. Pay me later.
And so, but I would say, the same thing for you, because, I think for women, like, we dream of marriage. Like, we looking forward to getting married. Sure. I remember you had reached a point where you said that you didn't know if you were even, like, gonna get married. Like, had it been me.
So true.
Had it not been me, I mean, you would not, you don't know that you would have gotten married. And so
marriage wasn't on my radar prior to us reconnecting. Yeah. It was not on my radar at all.
Yeah. And so I think over the years we've learned I feel like I've always given you grace. I feel like I've had to help you with giving your own self grace. Yes. Like it's okay. Like there are gonna be things that we don't know. It's gonna be things that we're still working and learning through that. And I think year 4 is when I felt myself really just mature, because I realized that we were kind of in the spiritual warfare in regards to our marriage. And, there was some insight, So listen, y'all, pray for your marriages. Pray for your marriages and
cover your spouse.
Yes.
In prayer.
Yes. Yeah. Cover your family, cover your marriage. Do not assume that all is just going to be well and things are going to fall into place, because it's been a lot of prayer. Even for me, when I got to year 4, that's when the Lord started to show me it's spiritual warfare. Yes. Because the devil does not like marriage. He wants to break up any and every marriage, right? Because we know that when you join together, the numbers, right? The math in the kingdom is different. 2 can put us under 10,000. And so the enemy did not want that. And so he was doing everything he could to destroy this kingdom marriage. And so the Lord began to unveil and pull back the layers. And he helped me to start looking at myself versus looking at like you, to be like, you need to do this for me. You need to do this. And then I'll have peace of mind. Then I can be happy. And then I was like, my peace was like in your lap. You know, it was like I had given it to you and I didn't have it. If we would get in an argument or we get upset with each other, you know, I would just lose, like, now I'm down all day, you know, or if I didn't get to talk because I need to express how I feel, because we communicate different. Yes. He needs time. Yes. I'm usually like, let's just get it over with. Let's just talk through it. I'm a communicator. He is too, but more so like on his time, not like right in the moment. And so I just watched the Lord begin to work on you, work on me. As I prayed, he would show me what I needed to fix. So for those out there, if you are looking for your mate to change and transform into something, then the Lord is going to work on you first. Yes, and so he helped me to start being the wife that could produce the husband who would listen. Because at first, like, I wanted him to listen. He needs to listen to me, and you know, I don't feel heard. Well, then the Lord taught me how to manage myself and not be so emotional in conversations, not always need to talk right then. So now we've reached this point where when I need to talk, I can be like, you know,
and you learn to communicate, you know, I kind of in such a way where I'm able to absorb it, able to embrace it, because men communication, our language is a little bit different from. Sometimes it can be a lot different when it comes to how women communicate. Yeah. Because you guys are external, men are internal. We process, then we communicate. You guys communicate. I think then you process.
Listen. He said internal. They process, and then they
process.
Communicate.
Yeah.
He could go like a whole.
Give me a second. Let me process it. And I'll get back with you a week later.
Thank you. A second can turn into never, and that's used to be why I wanted to like go. But the Lord, you know, he helped us with that. So I would say when we got to year 5, that's really when Christ started to become the center.
Yes.
Of like us and our marriage, and because we thought he was in it, we were like we were rolling over each other. But I think by 5 we started like shifting, you know, hitting our stride. Yes. Like we were back like in fitness and working out, because that in itself like really helped our marriage. Just like focusing on like our fitness and our health and wellness, like that made a huge difference for me. Yes. Watching you, you know, go through the stages of bodybuilding and getting on stage, and inspired me that like, you know, I could do that too. And so I think when fitness for real became a pillar, because it used to be, and then it got knocked off. Yeah. It got knocked off the list, but then we made it like, all right, this our thing. And I feel like that helped our intimacy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it boosted. I mean, of course, you know, it's at the end of the day, you still have to be attracted to your mate, right? And I think the intimacy was a byproduct of process, right? So going from just coping with each other to now you have
that's a good word.
You have a new revelation. You have a new drive, or it's like something got rekindled in our marriage once you're able to see a person transform and go through the process. And that's the beautiful thing behind marriage, is that you're able to see a person go through this transformation. And it's not about so much the end result, right? The byproduct, whatever that looks like, but it's just being able to go through those stages in the process. And that's the beautiful thing about marriage. And that's what you got to hold on to, because a lot of times in a marriage, you want this person to be a certain way, right? And you're not, a lot of times in a marriage, people are not willing to wait it out. and sometimes the you waiting it out for a person to transform and go through the process of life, that you will reap the harvest.
Yeah.
You have to just be willing to,
and the Lord will
be
change
patient
you
and show your significant other grace.
Yeah.
I
And he
think there's
usually
not enough
changes you
grace.
first.
Yeah.
He changes you, and now you're both turning into, because everybody's waiting on somebody to go first.
Yep.
That's really the problem.
I agree.
Everybody's like, well, when you change, I'll change. When you change, I'll change. Well, guess what? It's no change happening until somebody just says, let me work on me. It's
Yes.
not one thing that I have learned over these years is it's not about the other person changing. It's about you changing first.
Yes.
And becoming the person, like I said earlier, who can produce this person. You know, like I just feel like our love is so much deeper. I feel like our intimacy is so much better. Our communication. Listen, y'all, we still like, you know, we have arguments here and there, and disagreements.
I mean,
but I would say
to work on a lot quicker.
Yes, that's probably the biggest thing is we don't sit in it as long. I could be mad like all day and be pouting. And this one right here, he would be like, you know, nonchalant. He's not like, you know, acknowledging that I'm just.
We can have a disagreement.
But now,
and because we're rooted in seeking understanding, right? So you can. This is not going to be perfect, but because we do have the love for each other, is that my disposition now is that when we have a disagreement, is that I'm seeking to understand. I really want to understand. Hey, what did I do to make you feel this way? You know, what was the reason why we having this disagreement? And really just seek understanding and really just kind of hear you out versus thinking about what I'm going to reply, my rebuttal. So just that transition, it took me, you know, a couple of seasons to really figure out specifically,
that was a real good way to put it,
specifically what I was doing. So, you know, in a marriage, you have to figure out what's going to be those pillars, right? What's going to be those things that's going to keep you guys grounded. And for us, I think one of those things, or two of those things, was definitely a prayer life with each other, right? A ministry that walk, and I think also too fitness. Right? Oh, yeah. I think fitness was one of those the pillars that kept us, because we was able to do that together. We was able to process that and go through that transformation together. So, you know, if you can find whatever it is, it can be whatever it is in your marriage, figure out that thing that you guys can do together and you both enjoy doing. Yes. Because it's not going to work.
Energy.
It's not going to work though if you try to do something where you're just doing it for your mate and you really don't enjoy it. You got to figure out something that we both love to do this. And, and
so you might do fitness by yourself. Like somebody might say, I can't go to
the gym with my spouse. That's fine.
But still find that thing. Like for us, it works. Like we don't always, you know, do our workouts together. I mean, we just came from the gym. Like, you know, we have seasons, you know, you have seasons, highs and lows, and life can get demanding, but we know that this is a pillar of ours. And so I will say, like, over the course of these years, our pillars really haven't changed. And that was back in the beginning of our marriage in year one. Wasn't it in year one or two? Was it year one or two?
I would say year two. Year two.
The vision board?
Yes. The vision board was year one.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. So we're coming up like I'm like I know you know they say round up in December 10 years. So but when we look at it, like our vision is still the same. Your mission to get to that vision, it might change because the mission has changed. Like the route, the transportation to how we're bringing that vision to life may have changed, but we're still on the same vision. I think I'm having that revelation like just as we speak, like, man, we've had the same vision for like since the beginning of the marriage. Not, and that's prophetic though, like really not even knowing what it would look like today. You know, so I guess like, you know, fast forward, I would say we're thriving in our marriage. It's not perfect. I was just talking to somebody at the gym today. I didn't get to do my whole workout. But I feel like I was able to help someone because I think there are other dynamics when you think about, you know, relationships. We talked about being like a new dad or in a relationship, being, you know, your new mom, and it's just so many components that can impact the marriage. And so I think the last thing, and I mean we can always add on, but I think the last thing that will kind of leave y'all with is one thing that's super important to me, and it's important to him too, but I think in some seasons it's been more important to me, is like dates. Like to date night, like we date each other, and we have like our day of the week where it's like, we're gonna go and just me and him, not the kids. Our kids know it's Friday.
Leave the kids at the house.
Leave the kids at the house.
Kids at the house.
I feel like I just thought of some other topics. Leave the kids at the house. Keep the kids out of your bed.
Yes.
I mean, I can go down the list and tell you what to not do with the kids, because that can interrupt.
That's something else that we'll bring up. We'll talk about that on a different show. But putting your significant other, putting your wife, or putting your husband before your kids. I know that's a sensitive subject, and a lot of people.
And we can explain what that looks like too.
It's hard to kind of make that transition, but you need to put for us.
Your kids gonna be fine.
We had to do that.
We have to do it. They started off like, you leaving again? Like, yes, it's Friday. What are we doing Friday? Day night. Okay, so we're prioritizing our marriage, because the better we are for each other, the better we're going to be for them. Yes. And so, I think that's like a good way to kind of wrap this up, because there's so many intricate parts to us and to our marriage. But I think the biggest thing is we just wanted to pull the curtains back, give y'all the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Before we end, if you like this, hit the subscribe button.
Make sure
hit the like button so you can get more topics, guys. This is Love Unfiltered, guys. Pulling back the
Love and Marriage Unfiltered.
Love and Marriage Unfiltered. Thank you guys for being with us. Got some more topics, some more episodes we're gonna drop for you guys. Thanks for pulling up, having a cup of coffee with us.
Yeah, I don't know. Did y'all grab your coffee? Maybe we forgot to grab coffee. Make sure you grab your coffee, grab your tea. Yes. And then don't forget, drop in. If there's certain topics that you want us to cover, just go ahead and drop it in there. But you never know. Maybe one week we're going to pull up the thing that you're dealing with, or maybe what you want to know, because we're here to help your marriage be a success, to help you get through your marriage journey, in the right way. So, all right, y'all.
Until next time, we'll see you guys. Be blessed.
Bye.
I can get